What kind of safety protocols are in place? I mean, any of us who've seen movies, from the 1980s might remember robots going wild and causing problems. I mean, are these guys safe? Is there anything to worry about there? Have you ever had any, accidents, or are they generally well behaved?
No, the movie's got it right. It's the rise of the machines. The robots are coming to kill you, and they're going to take your job. I've been training that media talking points. Really important. Such level of ridiculousness is unbelievable. So I'll answer the question and then give you a little bit of context. Do things go wrong? Absolutely. So I'm an ex-auto executive. The auto industry is 100 plus years old. You would agree it's a mature industry. Pre-COVID, how many accidents every day? 15,000.
Yeah.
Right. So did things go wrong? Sure. But would a Fortune 1000 corporation allow us to patrol, or we just landed our first federal government contract with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs? Do you think they let us patrol, or a major hospital or law enforcement agency, or a mall, indoors or outdoors, if we didn't have the basics covered? No, the answer would be no. So the machines have a bunch of lasers, sonar, wheel encoders, inertial measurement unit, and a bunch of crazy software for them to be able to patrol in an area and be smart about it. So it's very similar to a self-driving car. But you've got to have enough experience to make adjustments as you go along. So like the ping pong problem, if you're at a mall, right, and the client says, hey, go patrol this area, and you're like, okay, we can do that. And then you go down this aisleway and there's people there. I can't go that way. I got to turn around and let's go down this aisle. Uh-oh, there's people there. I can't go that way. Like, you can't be doing this all day long if you have no intelligence on how your algorithms work. You got to be able to figure out from a human interaction how to do that. The reason I get animated about people worried about the robots is twofold. One, if you look at the amount of criminal activity and stupidity that happens across our country, honestly, I worry more about the humans than the robots.
Right. First point.
Second, if you ever want to figure out what's actually happening, you got to follow the cash, right? Why does Amazon exist? How did Facebook come about? Why Google is the 13th search engine? Like, why are they successful? It's because people invested billions and billions of dollars and iterated and iterated and iterated until something clicked and worked, right?
Right.
Name me, where's the source of capital for all the innovation in the robotics space? There's not billions going in every quarter or every year. If you told me that there's $50 billion going into the sector every year, I'm like, okay, we need to kind of think about all the implications. But we're at the equivalent of the 1970s of the PC industry. Like, hey, this is no longer a hobby. Maybe it's a business. Let's give it a shot. And maybe you drip in some capital here. So right. People are like, the robots are coming. I'm like, there's not enough fuel to deliver what you're worried about.
I want to go to a question that came in a few days ago by email, and there have been some related ones. This is from Robert. He said, do you have any plans to work with the Department of Defense? You just talked about a federal contract, so maybe there is some future there. He's asking, aren't there a lot of facilities where robots could be useful? Someone else asked about dismantling bombs, that sort of stuff, where you don't want a human life at risk. Is there, because my sense from our chat today, Bill, is that you've been operating in, well, potentially dangerous environments, but not war zones. So can that?
Some places.
Yeah.
Some places. I worry about the humans. So yes, the federal space is a massive, massive opportunity, and it's not necessarily on the battlefield, right? Think about how many military bases need military police and security. Think about how many warehouses FEMA has. Think about national parks, national museums. Who secures the federal courthouses? What about all the data centers? Who secures NASA? Like, it's 44,000 physical security contracts worth $14 billion, right? should our taxpayer monies really be sitting there staring at, I don't know if you know this, but I thought it was a rumor, but it's actually true. So 10 or 20 years ago, the federal government decided to digitize everything and make PDFs of everything and store the digital files.
Okay.
Someone brilliantly decided that we need to keep the paper. There's warehouses and warehouses of paper and humans sitting there staring at the paper. Like, seriously, that's not what, humans can do a lot of awesome things. That's not one of them. So there's a massive opportunity there, but that's one of the reasons we're raising more capital, right? You need more salespeople, you need more engineers, you need more production technicians, you need more deployment specialists, you need all this other stuff to be able to grow at that pace. But the federal government's going to be, I think, a long-term, very, very large client for us.
In addition to the data that you talk about collecting, can you get other kinds of data about, male versus female count, average age, that sort of stuff that might be valuable for other purposes that could be resold? I think that's what he's driving at.
So we don't sell anyone our data. So I think there's two ways to answer that. One, we're focused on securing the country, not monetizing data because some investor wants to monetize that. No, here is the data in most cases belongs to the client. Any machine related stuff belongs to us. Our clients allow us to utilize their data to improve our algorithms for machine learning purposes. But we're not out there to do that. That's not equivalent, but it's almost asking like the law enforcement agency, hey, you've got all this data, like, can we go monetize? No, right. It's not the mission of what we're trying to do here. And if you want to build a new set of technologies and processes for society to accept, the last thing you need to be doing is selling their data or tasing them or doing anything along those lines. Separately, do we think over time there's more and more compute capability? Like when we started the company, we had one Intel i7 in it. And we thought we're with too much processing power, right? Now we can barely get away with that. And now we have two NVIDIA GPUs on the machine and we're running out, right? There's a massive amount of capabilities that over time we can get these machines to see, feel, hear, and smell. Not only to do video analytics, like you mentioned on gender or gait or how, someone's walking, but, over time the machines should be able to learn, what a sound might be. The glass broke in that direction. I heard the gunshot in that direction. The car started and went that way, right? With a timestamp, like that would be very valuable. Is that plausible? Absolutely. It just requires engineers, time and money to do. There's one publicly traded company that focuses just on gunshots. I haven't looked lately, but market cap's like 300 million to $500 million on one detection. Like that's probably going to end up being free for us and as part of a palette or portfolio of a massive number of capabilities. So we can give the guards and the officers really smart eyes and ears and capabilities for them to do their jobs more effectively. I think one thing I really want the audience to understand is like, why does crime have $1 trillion negative economic impact? Well, there's 1 million security guards. There's 1 million law enforcement professionals. They're running 24/7. So you can't triple shift a human. So at any given time, there's only 500,000 people trying to secure 300 plus million Americans across 50 states. I mean, the level of insanity there is crazy with effectively a number 2 pencil and a notepad. Like, not acceptable. I'm sorry. And the country's not set up to fix the problem. And so that's why I've been pushing really hard for Knightscope to be part of that solution.
What's the normal interaction like with the existing security team? Do they work with the robots? Do a couple of them get replaced? My guess is that in combination, they might be more powerful than, say, just humans or just robots. Is that right? They can work very well together?
Very client and location dependent. So one, the guarding industry is awful. The margins are awful. The employee turnover rates are terrible, 100 to 400% a year. So, every quarter or every year, you're getting a new team because this is not a viable job for a human to do. What we'd love to do is figuratively promote the security guard or the officer. hey, these 7 robots now report to you. They do all kinds of capability. Here's an app on your phone that you can manage them and get the information that you need and actually give you the capabilities to do your job more effectively. Now, will the employee turnover rate improve? More than likely than not. Or if we're more efficient, can we pay the guard an appropriate wage? Right? You start thinking through it a little bit more carefully. There's opportunities. Now, there's other situations, like one of our clients is literally an empty building. The insurance company says, you must have security. The client's like, there are no patrons, there are no tenants, there are no employees, there's nobody here. I don't want to pay $28 an hour for a guard to run around here. So is that a job or not? Right. So that's where you get a little bit in between. But overall, the combination of software, hardware and humans, and having the machines do the monotonous and computationally heavy stuff that a human can't do, and have the guard or the officer do the enforcement and decision making is the most powerful combination.
I think a lot of the viewers are excited to see the robots behind you. So someone's asked, if I'm an investor, can I visit the headquarters?
So we used to do that. When we had 100 investors, once a year, we'd have a barbecue here, and it was really cool. We're announcing today we're at 17,000 investors. One, we can't do that practically anymore. 2, we've signed a lot of contractual agreements with some clients that, from a security standpoint, we can't just have folks here. And then 3rd, we have been 1, 2, or 3 attempts at industrial espionage. So we've kind of cut down on people visiting here unless they're on official business. I'm hoping post-COVID we'll be able to figure out a way either to invite everyone to a location and have everyone come in and meet each other and see the robots and everything else. Or the other thing we're contemplating post-COVID is a reimagined public safety tour and literally go state to state or city to city and come invite folks so we can meet them and also say thank you in person. You need to understand how grateful we are for the unwavering support we've gotten from our investors. And we'd love nothing other than to come, shake hands and break bread and talk about some robots once this craziness ends.
Can I expect there to be a secondary market to sell the shares? My guess is that's not really within your control. That does happen sometimes before companies go public, but what can we say to that?
A couple of things. One, we don't actively support secondary sales. It's not in the interest of the company. The company doesn't gain any capital in doing that, and management's attention needs to be on growing the company. The secondary effect is also can be harmful to the company because if you're looking at a SPAC or something else, having a reference price like that that's not thought through carefully can be negative to the company. So we haven't been supporting secondary sales whatsoever. We're focused on securing the country. I think we've got 3 types of investors. One's the technologists who just geeking out on all the stuff and is like, this is great. The second's the patriot who takes our word seriously and like, we need to better secure our country. I don't care, Republican, Independent, or Democrat. We need to do a better job of this. And then 3rd, we have some investors that are basically like, hey, this team has continued to deliver for the last 7 years. They've got numbers on the board. They're long-term focused. If Bill's right, he wants to build a $30 billion company that looks like a defense contractor, but instead is, focused on the Department of Justice and Homeland Security. Like, I want to stay in for the ride. And the level and order of magnitude of difficulty of what we're doing, is at least in the quadrant of Tesla and SpaceX. So this is not, some short-term type of thing. I was born in New York City. Someone hit my town on 9/11. I'm still profoundly pissed off about it. So the rest of my life, I'm dedicating to better securing our country. So this is not a, quick flip type of setup here. We're serious about the mission, and our results show it.
That's great, Bill. Now we're almost out of time, and I want to remind everyone whose questions were not answered, just reach out directly to us at editor@ipo-edge.com or to Bill directly. As he showed you, he very actively responds on his website.
Just go to securityrobot.com and click the little blue button. I'll be happy to answer your questions.
But just one last thing, Bill. Can you give us any kind of glimpse of the future? You've got several models already there. They must be keeping you busy, but what can we expect to happen? Are they going to get bigger? Are they going to be taller, wider? What can we expect to see in the future?
Yes, and yes. I think over the next couple of decades, you'll see a massive portfolio of technologies, both on the form factor, small, medium, large, extra large, and extra large, as well as detection capabilities that really put the test to having artificial intelligence be useful and positive for society. I think one thing that I'd like to leave the audience with is this is all really cool technology. Great that you got the company funded. You created, new American jobs even during a pandemic, but does it work? So I'd encourage you to go to knightscope.com/crime. And you can see there that we've helped the law enforcement agency issue an arrest warrant for a sexual predator. We helped a domestic abuse situation. We helped a security guard apprehend a thief. The list goes on, and we're literally just getting started. So we've got a lot more mountains to climb, but we're in good form.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Bill. It was great to have you today. And again, if you want to get in touch with us, don't use the Zoom portal anymore. Use that email there, or you can go find Bill on the Knightscope website. But we look forward to helping out with any further questions. Thanks again for everyone joining today, and especially you, Bill.
Thanks, John, and be safe out there.